I feel like racism in Russia is on a rise. Racism and xenophobia, especially towards people who don't look white, and especially the Asians. For example, like this video just came in recently. You can see it's on the front lines in the Ukraine. So this Tuvan guy, he's from Tuva. He's digging it, and these Russian guys behind the camera, they are literally.
Ты чё там не докопалась ещё, ебать? Чё там не подохуел, эй? Скотина, скотина. Давай, 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 не вижу, блядь, работы твоей, хуй ебаная, блядь. Давай, 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 вот так вот, блядь, вот так, еще, блядь, ебаный рот, блядь. Как бегать, так, сука, нахуй, вот он, блядь, красавчик, а как, блядь, копать для себя все, нахуй. Силы, блядь, закончились.
He's just digging it and just taking it, okay? Because very freaking restrained. Well, we don't know. Maybe later on he'll just pick up an AK-47, just shoot them all. But anyway, you can see like this is happening on the front lines, right? And I mean, from what I have seen, this happens quite often. There's also another video with some Azeri guy, but basically like Azerbaijani old guy beating up some Russian guy for calling that Azerbaijani guy a churka. Basically, like a churka means it's kind of like the N word when white Americans, for example, use that against black Americans, for example. Well, this Azeri guy just beats that Russian guy, and the Azeri guy seems to be like really old, and he beats him up for that, and that's like the state of the Russian military. Okay, I mean. And nothing really gets done about it. I mean, they're just beating each other. They're just shitting on each other, insulting and beating each other up. And that doesn't seem like there's any actual unity because it just fucking, this shit just fucking happens. I mean, and there's even, I think like a year ago, maybe even more, there was another video where some Russian soldier who was serving with some ethnic Kazakh soldiers in the Russian military. They are all in the Ukraine. And he also started like posting some shit about Kazakhs, some like comments somewhere. He was saying some shit like, I want to cut throats of all these Kazakhs. Like even I want to kill like children and shit. And then some Kazakhs saw that, and then they get this guy and they just beat him up, you know, like pretty much the guy is basically kind of screwed in this video. You can see, you know, and this guy, like apparently his friend, he just tells him, you were serious about like killing the Kazakhs? Like I am Kazakh, and like you know, like we're friends here, so you want to kill me, right? It's like, kind of like that. And then of course he just proceeds to beat him up and stuff. And we're not gonna show all of the video here, but anyway, that is like the state of the Russian military. And we know the military is supposed to be the strictest subset of the population because these guys are in a war. They are in a war zone, right? A lot more is at stake. So there needs to be unity. But these guys are just, they are kind of going all in against each other, and they are dividing themselves up into like ethnic groups, sort of. And those ethnic groups, like for example, Azeris and Kazakhs, they would not go against each other. They would probably like possibly like they would be sort of like supporting each other, and then the Russians would be just by themselves, sort of like, you know. And that Tuvan guy in the first video would probably sort of like be in among the Kazakhs. So again, it seems like it's kind of like all the non-Russians against like the Russians in the military, and the Russians being like the majority in the country, they're supposed to like be sorting this shit out and stimulating this like unity, right? But the problem is the Russian government is not doing shit, and the military commandment, the military commanders also, they're really working. They just don't care, you know. They won't care both ways, really. If Russians are being racist towards non-Russians, or non-Russians are beating up the Russians, and now also Russia has this like the Russian community, sort of a group. It's a huge group of ethnic
Русская
Russians who just
община
walk around,
собирает у себя мародеров со всей
kind of like
страны. Вот и в
bully
Омске дружинники
some
общины решили не
non-Russians.
заниматься
Well,
чем-то
they claim to
полезным.
be like, we just sort of restoring the order in Russia. We're just checking the non-Russians because most of them, like, or it's mostly them who tend to be criminals, which is mostly not true, actually. If you look at the stats, Russians generally, overall, they are dominant. And then this Russian community, I mean, they're doing all of this stuff without even realizing that this creates even more division, actually, because if they have like this Russian community now, the non-Russians might start a non-Russian community, which will be patrolling the streets. Now, where is this shit going to lead to, right? And then this is a major indicator of the failing state, actually, that the government, in and of itself, like the official government, the police force, they're really doing their job. That's why there's some, Russian men, they are uniting, and maybe a little bit of it can be justified because the migrants, there's a lot of migrants who actually do commit crimes, and they also do unite into like local, like small groups. They do like train MMA. They like rob some local Russians, for example. It does happen. If you look at the criminals, like news, specifically, there's lots of like Telegram channels. Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, there's there's lots of crime that's being committed by the migrants as well. And then you can also say, yeah, but a lot of them they don't get paid fairly by their employees. There's lots of employees who try to scam them. Then they might get like all really like pissed off, and then all of this anger is gonna be projected onto all of the Russians because that's how they are, because they are racist and against us. That's why they didn't pay me the money, the fair share. He fucking scammed me. I was doing this work for half a year. It's like all of this shit I mean, everything is just mixed up here, okay? It's just some Russians, they being genuine in that they want to fight like the local diaspora ethnic gang groups. There is some justification to that. You have to be honest about it. But then there's also lots of Nazis, like outright Nazis, joining the ranks of this like Russian community. So it's like everything is just like mixed up, and then the normal people will be suffering. But the main culprit, the main fucking problem and issue here is, of course, it's not even the people, it's the fucking government that is just not doing its job. They're literally not doing anything. I mean, they're not fighting the crime. They're just sitting there it's like a business enterprise for them. For the police force and on the prosecution, the prosecutor's office, for all of them, it seems like it's just a business endeavor. They don't care about stopping the crime, controlling, monitoring, not as much, at least, as necessary to maintain the order, so the people wouldn't be taking justice into their own hands. And that's precisely what they are doing. They are uniting into like dividing into like small groups, and people training MMA just to be ready, sort of, because there is no hope for the police force, because they themselves are corrupted to the core. And they don't give a shit if someone kills someone. No, they care about, getting the fucking bribe and all that. So, and that's the reason why racism will only increase, and even in the civilian world in Russia, not only in the military.